Hey, welcome back. This is Summer and the Healing Project team.
Hello.
Yes, and Kelly. And we are joined today by Miss Becky Armstrong Corbett, all the way from the United Kingdom, everybody.
Right. Wow. Hey.
And cheerio and all of that.
Right. Cheerio.
Brilliant. Ooh, thank you.
I love your brain background right there.
You do?
That is just awesome.
It's obviously my brain.
Like the goddess little, you know.
Is that a lotus?
Right?
Is that a lotus flower at the bottom?
The lotus
Sorry?
flower. At the bottom is she's asking for the lotus flower. Yep.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
I got one tattoo. I love that.
Very cool.
So Becky, I know you are one of our family members. You are another ex-Jehovah's Witness that we happened to meet wonderfully on social media, thankfully. And just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, so I was brought up as a Jehovah's Witness. My parents were Jehovah's Witnesses. My grandparents were Jehovah's Witnesses. So it was their family business. My parents were regular pioneers. My father went on to the circuit, became a circuit overseer. I regular pioneered, wanted to be a nurse, wanted to be a midwife, but you know, all my family were regular pioneers. So I regular pioneered for 10 years, married ministerial servant, who became an elder quite young. And I left the organization in 2013.
2013.
2013. In that time, I had 2 children. Obviously brought them up within the organization, and they decided to stay. But thankfully, a couple of years ago, my youngest son has left.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's great. I have a large family, cousins, uncles, aunts, all Jehovah's Witnesses. I have not been disfellowshipped. I haven't disassociated myself. I left to take a Jehovah's Witness paedophile to court.
Wow.
For 9 counts of sexual assault to me. He went to prison. For that, I'm shunned, even by my son, to the point where my son had his JW wedding and I wasn't allowed to go. So I do get the difficulties of when you leave the organization and the impact that has. I then trained I had a mental health crisis. I had a breakdown. I did try to take my own life. I then became intrigued with the brain from the sense of how can I help myself? So I became a peer support worker, mental health peer support worker, worked within a big university hospital, psychiatry liaison. My role was to see people that had done something, some form of self-harm, and to help them, because I was getting better. I was their message of hope. And then I decided to train to be a clinical psychotherapist and clinical hypnotherapist. So I'm not a psychiatrist. A psychiatrist is somebody that is medically trained to be able to diagnose mental health challenges, and is also able to give medication to those that have got mental health challenges. I have been trained clinically, but that's not what I am. I'm a psychotherapist.
You got you.
I wanted to be somebody that understood somebody who left a cult. So I have clients that aren't just ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, they're ex whatever else from other religions, if that makes sense. I think it's helpful because I found I struggled to find somebody who got the shunning aspect.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
100%, yes.
But you haven't got, but they're not dead. So I thought I'd use my own experience, lived experience to
I think that other therapists that don't have that background kind of trivialize it, like it's just church, and you can bond over something else, but that really is their life. They don't know how to connect with anything besides that.
Yeah.
So I personally was looking for someone like you, because I was like, nobody understands me, outside of other people that have a type of trauma bond. But I mean, we can support each other.
Yeah.
But in order to, make it to the next level and to be completely free, we need someone that understands what that looks like, feels like, and then how to move past that.
Right.
Because the Healing Project is here to provide healing for people that have experienced that type of traumatic, adulthood, childhood, anything that is in a controlling, like narcissistic type of environment. And we know from leaving, we've all suffered some type of things. We have to develop a coping mechanism to deal with our depression, rejection, birth, all of those things. And since we're trying to help other people move past that, tell us about what happens, what happens to the brain, like when it's shunned, or what happens to the brain when it is cut off from like all the foundation and the family that you ever know.
Okay, so when I see a client, one of the things I do, not many therapists do it. I have found there's going to be therapists that do it out there. I explain the brain. So I explain to somebody what part of the brain they're in, where the fight flight part of the brain is, the emotional brain, and I explain where they need to be able to live a happy life, a normal life, think of solutions to their problems, and cope with whatever life has in store. And to be able to do that, you need to be in your left prefrontal cortex. So I explain the different areas of the brain, how they operate, why they're feeling the way they are. And that is really helpful to people. Now, one of the things I explain as well is that for the brain to work really well, for us to feel happy, we work together better as a tribe than we do as individuals. When we have positive interactions, then we release positive neurotransmitters in the brain, mainly serotonin. And that's what we thrive on. And once we've got serotonin running through the brain, that's when we start to have dopamine and endorphins. And those make us feel good, they make us feel motivated. Endorphins are natural painkillers. So that's when we start to feel really good, like when we're having a good day, or it's a birthday or whatever else, and we're just feeling we're on top of the world. So with shunning, we've got rejection. We're isolated. So we haven't got those positive interactions. Now that's going to limit the serotonin. And what happens when we haven't got serotonin running through the brain, when that's interrupted, and we're not going to be in our intellectual capacity, we're not going to be in our left prefrontal cortex, we're going to be starting to live in our primitive brain or our emotional brain, in our fight, flight, freeze response brain. And now we've got the risk of being stressed, or we've got the risk of being anxious.
Yeah.
So
okay, that explains why there's so much anxiety. It's either anxiety or depression.
Yeah.
It's two opposite ends of the spectrum. You're going to be anxious about everything, thinking that there's death around the corner.
Oh yeah.
Or you're going to be too depressed and scared. Like, come on and get me done. That's, here I am.
Yeah. If I wear this, a big bolt of lightning is going to come down and consume me,
Every day, every second of your life. Yep.
Yeah. So what then happens is we start to have this really low self-esteem because we've been rejected. Now we're going to start to feel worthless. Now we're going to start to feel pain, all kinds of pain within our body. So that's what happens. And then you can start to go down a really deep, dark hole of depression and anxiety. Now, the same effect can also happen to the shunner, because one of the things we know that creates anxiety is negative thinking and being introspective. So by that, I mean, we beat ourselves up for previous mistakes, or we come back from somewhere and we go, why did I say that? What did I do that for? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you don't need to do that. So what happens to the shunner is they've got to use that part of their primitive brain to justify why they are shunning somebody that they love. And of course, you've got this cycle of anger, cycle of negativity. So
are they then operating in their primitive survival mode too? The shunner and the one being shunned?
yeah, so
that's why they cannot connect.
Yeah, exactly.
So
or have real conversations. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Opposites.
Yeah, so
I'm just getting like
yeah, that's right. Both people are damaged. Both people are damaged, and that's what it does to the brain. Yeah. So living in that fight flight mode as if I mean, we don't need that fight flight mode for modern day life. You know, if you're living in a jungle environment, it's fantastic. I'm not going to knock it. It's really, really good. But unfortunately, they're going to be living in that kind of state of panic all the time. So both parties are damaged by it. And of course, you know, for the person that's being the shunner, you know, they're suppressing their emotions. So now we're going into trauma as well, aren't we? So on both sides.
Wow.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Deep.
Yeah, you know, and I can understand that, because growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, when one of my friends would be disfellowship, I would feel the same trauma as if I was disfellowship. My heart would go out to them, and I would get in trouble for talking to the disfellowship person because I'm feeling the same thing that they're feeling as well. And I'm supposed to be shunning them, you know?
I know.
Yeah.
It's just not normal. It's just not natural, is it?
It's not.
But is that why when ex-Jehovah's Witnesses leave, because one thing I've seen is that a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that leave single, put it that way, have a hard time developing healthy relationships. Is that because of the part of the brain they're using, or why is that? Because I know I've seen a trend among a lot of people. Like, does anybody else have a problem having relationships, even if it's just a platonic relationship? It's a little bit hard.
I had a big issue when I left.
I think, you know, we tend to think of Jehovah's Witnesses, you know, Jehovah's Witnesses preach about their love. You know, they are the only organization that has the greatest love this world has ever seen. And, you know, when you think about shunning, you have to switch your emotions off very, very quickly. But when you think about the love that they preach and talk about, it's actually not the love that's normal. Because, you know, for example, when I met my husband, I fell in love with him. I was attracted to him. I fell in love with him. There was nothing I could do about it. It was a all over feeling, you know, and I've been married to him 35 years this year, and I still love being with him. And I can't help that feeling because it's an emotion attached to it as well. There's all sorts of things going on inside me. Jehovah's Witnesses, they talk about agape love. This is loving the unlovable. This is principled love. This is an act of will. This is something you're taught and you have to switch on. No emotion involved at all. And when you think about the people, right?
Mechanical.
Right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Y'all ignore me.
Normal people outside who've never been part of a religion or a cult or whatever, they make friends with people they click with, you know? I'm a little bit weird in this way, so my friends are going to be a little bit weird in this way as well, you know what I'm saying? So that's normal. In the UK, we have this sort of expression, I don't know if it's the same over there, birds of a feather flock.
Yeah, flock together.
Yeah. That doesn't happen within the Jehovah's Witnesses, does it?
No.
You're forced to get
You are
on.
forced to like people you ain't alive. You are forced. You have to work out in service with this person you cannot stand.
And stop giving me that sugar-free candy.
You know, all of a sudden you've got to work with this person and you're like, I really don't want to work with them. I'm sorry, I've suddenly got a dental appointment. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You're with people that you really can't stand, that might irritate the pants off you, but you've got to love them, and you're even being taught that you've got to give your life on the line. So you understand that if agape love can be switched on and taught, it can also be switched off, can't it? Because that's how we can easily shun them. And so this suppression of emotions just isn't normal. It's not normal, and therefore being able to use our emotions to fall in love with someone or make connections is rusty. So that's why it's difficult, because it's just rusty.
Yep. I can agree with that. I've actually had.
Drink.
Yeah. You're great, Kelly. Go ahead, Kelly. If you're watching this, if you're drinking, it's okay for right now, okay? Just for right now.
Yeah, you need a drink.
We're gonna drink with you guys. You need a
glass of wine.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yes, because you know, from even from my experience, you know, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness itself, that whole part of trying to be who I'm supposed to be, but also being a Jehovah's Witness, but also being forced to be around people, doing things, it literally messed with me, because I got into the music industry at a young age, and it was and you know, actually I'm going off subject, but when I finally got out, I had the hardest time committing to anybody. It was just like, you know, maybe I'm gonna go back. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe this person's not for me because they don't know the rules and laws and everything of what a Jehovah's Witness is supposed to be. And I would start to push them away without even knowing it.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to all my exes. Sorry. Sorry.
No,
Love it. I love it.
Okay, let's take a shot. We need a shot.
Cheers to the viewers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers to you, Becky. Thank you so much.
Yes.
We needed that.
Cheers, my lovely.
Yes. And it's okay to have fun.
And it is good for us to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And you ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, don't you judge, because you all know all you do is drink.
All you do is
So
drink.
don't start. We have the liberty.
Cool deal.
Yeah.
So we were on that subject of what were we on the subject of?
Shunning and the type of what it does in the brain and the relationships when you get out, when you have a difficult time connecting with people, because you're so used to having a mechanical type of love instead of an authentic type of love, which also would make sense to when you do find someone you want to commit to. They're just dating and you're looking at it like this is a life. We're going to the end. You know what I mean? We're not just dating, because when we do decide to commit, we turn that love on. It's for the rest. It's like all the way to the end. We're not trying to do anything else, you know, different. So that also explains a lot. I need to drink.
Right. Because I honestly, I always thought that because growing up as Jehovah's Witness, I always thought that once you're in a relationship with somebody, that's it.
That's it. Done.
So I didn't understand getting rejected in the world. Mm-hmm. See, I didn't realize that you could get rejected in the world, but that has to do with free will. And the difference between being a Jehovah's Witness is that you get rejected outside of free will. And that's something I had to learn. You just don't like me.
Because we're taught that if we go to your door and we act a certain way, we present ourselves a certain way, then you're gonna, receive the message. So we can't. It doesn't make sense to us. Like, what's wrong with you?
Oh wait, you really don't like me. This doesn't have anything to do with Jehovah.
Yeah.
Just suck as a person, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
Yeah.
Poor Becky didn't know what she was signing up for.
Yeah. Welcome to the family, Becky.
I can't even believe that we were taken in by all of this.
Yeah.
You know, when you come out and you analyze it, you know, it's just, yeah.
It's heartbreaking. And that's why for anyone that leaves, they're so strong, you know, and I want people to know that, because sometimes you just have to embrace who you are as a person, and you can no longer live in conflict with yourself. There comes a point where you just have to break free, you know, from living this fake life and putting on this mask all the time. And I would love for Jehovah's Witnesses that are watching this to know that any family member or person that you're close to that left, they didn't leave you, they left the religion. They love you, like we love you. You know, you're all we know. You know what I'm saying? That's our foundation. But if it's so serious that we had to leave and risk losing it all, like, I feel like that should be what's in, like, what comes to people's mind. Not that, oh, we're just out here drinking it up. You know,
Right.
it's not that. It's because we no longer can fit into this box. I mean, we are, but that's not what we can no longer fit into this box anymore. Like we're round. We have all these edges and curves, and we're hexagons, and you're putting us into this little square.
Right.
And people that have like gifts and talents, they can't be put into this square, and it just doesn't work. So I just want people to know, like, we're not leaving you, we're leaving the religion. And just because we're dope and we have people that love us, doesn't mean we don't miss you, right? I know we still want that connection.
Yeah, and I think it's important that they realize they don't own shunning either. So, you know, if I choose to live my life a certain way, then that is my choice. That is my right to that choice. And I totally respect that my family are Jehovah's Witness and they have their right to live their life the way they want to live their life. And I would support my father in his choices. If that's what he needs, I would help him in that way. Why can Jehovah's Witnesses not have the same respect for other people? Why do I have to be shunned because I am different? Is that really what Jesus would do? So does that mean then that my Jehovah's Witness family who shun me just because I have a slightly different opinion, but I have not changed as a person, does that mean they are toxic in my life? Probably. So in which case I have the right to shun them. So they don't own
Hell yeah. That's what that means. Yep.
you know, they don't own shunning.
That's right.
I can do the
love
same.
that.
They don't own shunning.
I don't say that again.
Absolutely not. They don't own it. And I have not rejected a single member of my family. I've just decided that in view of the fact that the person who abused me was made a ministerial servant while he was a paedophile, my question is, where was the Holy Spirit at that particular moment in time in anointing him, appointing him rather, as a ministerial servant? Did it go to the toilet or was it asleep?
Right. Yeah.
And not one Jehovah's Witness can answer that, but they will shun me while my paedophile is welcomed with open arms in the congregation. So is it a toxic religion? That is my feeling. You know, they've got to realize that we have not rejected them. We've just moved away from their religion. So please don't try and change the narrative if you're a Jehovah's Witness by saying you've rejected us. No, get it right. You have rejected us. You've put our relationship over a man-made organization. Because if you were to have this conversation with somebody who is a Scientologist and you were stood with a Jehovah's Witness talking to a Scientologist, for example, they would get it. They would come away and go, oh, they just can't see it. They're so totally blinded, aren't they? Oh, but they don't get that they're in the same situation.
Same situation. Different box.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Different box. Yeah, that's correct. What made you get into psychotherapy?
Why did I? I think because of my own trauma,
Boom.
to be fair. Because of my own trauma, I was brought up with very strict parents. My father was asked to move into the congregation where I was born by Bethel because there were issues. So I had to be squeaky clean growing up. Wasn't allowed to do very much at all because it would be used against my dad. I can remember somebody ripping up their speech council slip and sprinkling it over my father's head in the middle of a meeting. It was just a very bizarre Kingdom Hall, and it was a religious town. So I, for example, at the age of 7, was thrown into a broom cupboard by the vicar because I was Jehovah's Witness from 9 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I didn't have anywhere to go. I was being abused at the age of 3 to 12, and I didn't really have anywhere to go. So my grandma before she became a Jehovah's Witness, used to be a psychiatric nurse, and I was quite intrigued by her understanding of the brain. And I just felt that there wasn't a therapist in the UK that actually dealt with the sexual abuse within a cult, understanding shunning and understanding that actually you can be in a cult within your own family as well.
Yes.
So, do you know what I mean? So yeah, a little bit like Ruby Wax, you know, I want to do this to find out about my own brain, and then hey, I can use this for, you know, to help people as well. And it's great. And I think because I've got that lived experience, my clients find it really helpful because they can just say, you know, blah blah is showing me, and you know, it's their birthday today, and I messaged them and I haven't had a reply, so I'm just feeling a little bit bleh, you know, and then you know,
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's really interesting. Well, little do you know is that the three of us have studied you and scoped you out, and we are working on a documentary right now called The Healing Project. And we needed somebody that understands the brain, and with your background, I think you are a perfect candidate.
hey, thank you.
She gave me cold chills and made me want to cry like 4 or 5 times, literally. So yeah,
it's authentic. The thing that I like about Miss Becky is that she's so authentic and very real.
yeah.
And I can tell you that she can talk to you and you don't have to revisit your trauma in order for you to be free from it.
Yeah.
Because she is very focused on the solution, which is what we need, right?
Yes.
We don't want to have to revisit, because you know what? We revisit in our mind almost every day.
Every day.
So it's not going to be, I want to encourage people that want to connect with Miss Becky here, that don't be afraid. I was, because you know, with the Healing Project, you get approached by different types of people that want to help you.
Yeah.
But I was a little bit apprehensive because we're kind of taught to be private and hush hush, and therapy is wrong, you know, and
Don't bring Jehovah's name into disrespect.
Don't bring,
oh my goodness.
reproach on Jehovah's name.
Well, guess what? I was abused in his house, so we already did it, you know?
Yeah.
Oh.
But you can let all of that go, because Miss Becky is she's an ex-Jehovah's Witness. She gets it on a whole, you know, different level. And then she can help you to understand what's happening. I think that because we're always so calculated, you know, with going out and talking to people and reasoning from the scriptures and conversation stoppers, that we want to, you know, understand what's happening, because our objective is not to leave and die, you know, and leave and waste our life. Our objective is to leave and be great,
Right.
but we don't know how to do that. And I think
that's the purpose now.
Yeah, that's
what do you do when you break free now? Because that's a dark place.
Yeah.
You can call it freedom, but I look at it just as anything else. If you are a hamster in a cage and you want to break free from that cage, but you have been fed, you have been catered to, you have been pampered, and then you get out of that cage and there's a cat right around the corner. What do you do when you get out of the cage? And that's our purpose.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, that's you know, as you were saying, Summer, what were you saying? The bit that you were saying. Yeah. She was just saying so many profound things.
What you do.
Yeah, so you know,
Yeah,
when you leave, it's scary. And so what we know about the brain is that the primitive brain or emotional brain, our amygdala, doesn't like change. Okay, it does not like change. It's the same
Episode chapter 1.
It's the same limbic system as that.
Yeah.
For survival. It only actually develops until the age of 3 or 4. So all it can do is go on previous patterns of behavior. So sometimes we know that we can look at an abusive relationship and you can say, why aren't they leaving? Why aren't they leaving? Because to us, it's obvious, because it's too scary sometimes, because that part of the brain kicks in. So change, as far as the brain is concerned, is a life or death situation because it's new. Does that make sense? So, you know, anything that's new can create nerves. You know, we get nerves doing something new. And in some ways, that can be good. A little bit of nerves can get the adrenaline going. That can be good because it can, you know, it means we bring our A game to the table. But it's sometimes people don't leave because they are scared of the outside world. And remember, one of the things that, you know, lots of religions do, the Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, is of course they create this them and us situation. You're part of us. We're united. You can't have your own thoughts. You can't have your own feelings. You've got to watch the same stuff. You've got to read the same stuff. You've got to, you know, with Jehovah's Witnesses, it's like a theocratic language as well. So you have this way of speaking. They talk about putting on the new personality. What does that mean? It means you've got to squish yourself. That's what it means.
It means suppress all the emotions and whatever you thought you're going to be. You're one of us now. That's what that means. And you're like, okay, I want to put up a new personality. No, you don't. No, you don't.
You put on a new face.
Yeah.
I wish I could be a fly on the wall. Like, no,
Face
y'all
reading.
don't want to do that.
New mask.
Yeah.
New mask.
Yeah. So, you know, you're denying who you are. You're squishing your emotions. To think outside the box means you're challenging.
Yeah.
So you can't be critical. You can't ask questions, you know, and of course you start to squish all of your emotions. So now you can't think either. So when you leave, you are depressed. And there's this them and us, so that you now realize, well, I'm now in this big world that I've been taught is under Satan's control, and they'll all be against me, and they're all scary, and you know, it's going to trigger people. But of course that's trauma inducing as well, the fact that you're squishing who you really are, that you're not allowed to express your emotions either. Anger is viewed as a sin. You know, anger is a normal emotion. All of those kind of things are trauma inducing, and that's why, you know, sometimes people don't leave, because it is scary.
So is that why, is there some type of identity crisis that like with the clients that you have treated, is there like an identity crisis that people go through? Like they don't know who they are in that moment because they were kind of told who they would be?
Well, absolutely, because, you know, I had that process, and I know lots of my clients have had that process where they've gone, all of my clothes are JW clothes. Okay, what are you going to do with them? I'm going to get rid of them. Okay, that's great. And what are you going to wear? Oh, you know, that's scary. And it's scary because the primitive brain kicks in because it's new. That's all. It's new.
Yeah.
So
I had that moment when I went to one of my, I call him my brother, one of my brother's wedding, and it was like a combination of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses and worldly people, which sounds so cool. but I had on this dress and it was completely covered. It was fitted now. The curves popping, okay? The curves were out there, but it was very fitted, but it went like right above my knee, and I literally had like a moment of anxiety, like almost a panic attack of wearing that completely covered. I mean, long sleeves, like up here, a turtleneck.
I know.
So
Honest to
fitting.
goodness.
And it wasn't down to my ankles.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna cause a stir. I don't know what I thought I was gonna do.
Reproach, girl.
It's on that man.
Reproach with Jehovah's name.
Well, I'll tell you what, you would be so proud of me. So I was a circuit overseer's daughter and an elder's wife, right? My husband was used, he's a very good teacher. His father was a university lecturer. So he's got a natural talent. He was used for like keynote addresses for district convention and circuit assembly, and he took the watchtower every week. When my son got baptized, my youngest, when we were out, he asked if we were going. My husband was like, no, we're not, absolutely not going. And I said, okay, so how are we any different to the JWs? Because they wouldn't come. How are we any different? So I'm going to go because I love my son. He may choose to have these beliefs. That doesn't change who he is. He's asked me to go. I will be there for him.
Love it.
Do I agree with his beliefs? Absolutely no. So this was not long after we left, and I just going to tell you what I wore if you're interested.
Yes.
I wore black high-heeled boots.
Bring the juice.
Black high-heeled boots, red trousers, a white sort of, I don't know, pirate type.
You wore
flowing-
pants? What?
Yeah.
Ooh. No, I'm just kidding.
White, lacy, white lacy blouse, right, with a red waistcoat that was velvet had piping on it that was tartan and matched the tartan red jacket that I wore. And I walked into that Kingdom Hall, into that assembly hall with my head held high. I walked into the toilets we didn't get there for the whole thing. We got there just before the baptism. Walked into the toilets, and you will never guess, the sisters that were in there were elders' wives from my former congregation.
Oh, I love it.
And they stopped talking and they just looked. Stopped talking. I went into the cubicle. I did my wee. I came out again. There was still silence. I washed my hands and I looked at them and I went, "Good morning, ladies."
Yeah.
I walked out and I went to sit down. My son had saved us a seat. My son is a fashion designer now that he's left. But as I walked down, he looked at me and he looked up at me and he went, "Mum, you look lovely."
I love it.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's all you needed.
Yep.
That was it.
I was not going to identify as a Jehovah's Witness. I had left that path behind me, and it felt really, really empowering. Really empowering.
I love it. And plus, it sounds like your outfit was dope.
I know, right?
I want to borrow that.
I do too.
When I go-
I was so good at red.
Well, I tell you, you know how sometimes, you can be a little bit sort of, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but you can walk down the street, and you can be with someone, they're all looking at me. No, you're just being paranoid. No, honey, they were looking at me. We were halfway down the assembly hall, and of course people recognized who we were. So it created quite a stir, but it wasn't, I didn't wear it created a stir. Maybe I did. But
we like it either way. We're not judging.
Right.
I mean, I think it's important to embrace, who you are, and like you said, like the identity. If that's what you felt like wearing, wear it. Don't suppress your emotions. If you don't want to wear a dress, don't wear a dress. Wear some pants. Wear some, whatever. Just be yourself, and I think that as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, sometimes we look for that approval that it's okay to do something, and we just need to, let it. If it feels good to us and it's not harming anyone else, it's okay, and to live in that moment and to enjoy it, because I wonder what we could say to those that are watching this video that might be, physically and mentally out. What is the best way to leave and have the quickest recovery? Like what tips would you give
with your mental health involved? Yeah.
Right. So what my husband and I did, I had been drip feeding my husband for a little while, because I recognized, I suppose, when I was 12, and this paedophile was made a minister or servant, I sort of recognized there's something wrong here. I worked really hard as a regular pioneer, but I recognized there was something wrong, and then started taking things apart. Now, one day, with my husband, I basically threw a dress across the bread and asked, why on earth, it's a really hot day, have I got to wear something as ridiculous as this? And he said, because it's a man-made organization. And that was when I was like, oh my goodness. Because normally he'd been giving me the stock answer number one. And so we then had a discussion about it, and we recognized that there's certain procedures that go into place with the elders. Now, what's really important to recognize is if you start drifting away, if you allow the elders into your home to try and shepherd you, there's just this unwritten rule that they won't tell you about. Once you allow them into your home, you're recognizing their authority.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. So what I would say is you stop going. You just tell them, if you want to, I'm not going anymore.
But you don't have to. Right.
You don't have to. No. My husband took the watchtower, so he had to tell them. He was registrar for a wedding on the Saturday, and then he just said, you need to find somebody to take the watchtower on Sunday, as I will no longer be taking them, and I will no longer be here. And you don't tell them anything. So when they ring you, you don't answer the phone. If they come to your door, you don't answer the door. You completely and utterly ignore them. If they turn up at your workplace, you tell your manager, and you get your manager to tell them, this is harassment, you must leave. Do not have any interaction with them at all. Now, in some cases, some congregations have gone ahead with disfellowshipping you for no reason at all. They've got to find a reason, and they can't find a reason because you haven't disassociated yourself. You've just stopped going. That's the quickest, easiest way to do it. So the congregation couldn't do anything about my husband and I. What they did do is they tried to find evidence through my children who were living at home. They wanted them to report every conversation that we had. We've been very careful not to say anything that would be classed as apostate. And they rung around all of our friends as well. So if you haven't said anything at all, stop going. And that's why I've always tried to make sure that my children had friends outside in the world as well, because that makes it so much easier. So start making friends at work.
Yes.
Start making friends with your neighbors, and maybe start telling some trusted work colleagues or trusted neighbors.
Yes. Build the foundation before you just jump out there.
That you want to leave, and this is what's going to happen to you. And then just leave, but you know that you've got a support network. Now, I want people to absolutely realize that if you were offered, if anybody listening was offered the job of their dreams with a fantastic paycheck, but it was 100 kilometers away from where they live now, they'd take it. And you would soon make friends in your new place.
Right.
It's no different to that.
It's okay to If that's what you want to do, if you want to leave, it's okay. We promise.
Yeah. Don't make a big song and a dance. Don't give them any reasons why. Don't
Silence is golden in
you know,
that
saying,
aspect.
these are my reasons why. Just don't, because then there will be repercussions. If you just leave the way we did, it means that family can choose to still talk to you, even if it is in a reduced capacity. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yep. But yeah, also reduced capacity, because also they'll talk to you, but only about off the wall things. So it's not going to be genuine. So one thing that I've learned from Miss Becky is to not expect anything in return.
Yeah.
Like, don't even get excited. Don't get excited.
Yeah, I mean, I realize that any interactions that I might have with my JW family is they are androids. That's how I view them. They're androids because their real self has been squished. They can't think for themselves. They can only give out the answers that they've been told to give. So if I read something hurtful from a member of my family or my son or whatever, that's not who they really are.
Yeah.
Not a reflection of
it's
me.
Not genuine. It's not the essence of who they are. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not a reflection of me either.
Because I can be honest. I look back at my pictures as a Jehovah's Witness, and I think that if anybody's watching this, I don't even recognize me.
Yeah.
I don't know who that guy is. Like, who is that? I actually had a dealing
cool is that though?
I literally had a dealing with the police a couple of years ago. Google that shit. Anyway, but I but I had a run-in with the police, and this is after I got out, and they're looking at my picture because I got arrested at Jehovah's Witness one time for a $26 bounce check from Walmart, something like that. They got arrested for a $26 bounce check. Wow. So I had a warrant out for my arrest as a Jehovah's Witness for a $26 bounce check, and I get it anyway. So then I get arrested after, I'm not a Jehovah's Witness anymore. And they're looking at my picture of my first arrest, and they're like, "Is that you?" I look, and I'm like, "No, that's not me."
Yeah.
Look like we knew it.
That's not me.
It's true though. And I mean, that's normal though, actually. I mean, when I see clients each week, I know that the client in front of me is a different person to who I saw last week. I'm not going to review the notes because they're a completely different person.
Right.
Because we've had different life experiences. And to be honest, if somebody said to me, "Oh my goodness, I saw you 30 years ago and you haven't changed a bit," if they were just talking about my face, honey, they are my best friend. But if they were talking about my personality or something else, I'd be like, "Oh my goodness, have I not learned anything in life that I've changed?" Yeah. Seriously?
When I was going through my divorce, I actually left my ex-wife. I couldn't take it anymore. We had our first scuffle, and I was trying to take my son somewhere. She didn't like it. We got into that little altercation, and I realized I had to leave. Now, after I left, and it was like a year and a half after I left, she had a conversation with me. And I said to her, "I'm not the same person, and you don't know me anymore because I traveled the world, I did all this stuff." And she says, "No, I know who you are." And I'm like, "No, you don't know me anymore." I'm not that guy anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I talk to clients about neuroplasticity. So if you're learning something new, that creates new neurons. So that means the shape of your brain changes.
That's what
learn something new. So we are not fixed. It really irritates me when people say, but I know who you are. No, you knew me a long time ago, but you didn't really know me then. Because if you really, really, really did know me, you would know that I was a Jehovah's Witness and you were a Jehovah's Witnesses, and you irritated me then, but I never really told you because I had agape love. But hey, you don't know me. You know what I mean? No. But yeah, because our brain changes and we learn new things. So nothing is fixed. Somebody that's, I know that had an anger problem, if you like. Anger, is there anything wrong with it? No, it's a normal human emotion. We should be allowed to express it, but it's how we express it. That's the issue. Who would fly off the handle and it would get them into so much trouble. They are now known for being the most laid back person ever, because they changed who they were. They changed how they respond. And that's the thing, we can do that. So it's absolutely wrong for somebody to say, but I know who you are. No, you knew who I was at one time, but not who I am now. Because, you know, life is, yeah, good for you, silly woman.
But we definitely would like to have you along with our journey. We want to be able to tap in to your brain throughout this whole series that we're doing with the Healing Project. And I think that this is a good relationship that we're starting. I'm so glad that Summer met you and you met Summer, and now we got Kelly. Now, if you're just now getting out, or if you never celebrated your birthday, Kelly, part of our crew, just had her birthday. I don't know if we mentioned this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. So she had her birthday. We went out last night. It was amazing. I'm surprised that the three of us are able to be sober right now.
Yeah.
Hey, I just got one question about birthdays, right?
Right.
How come? I was told that we can't celebrate birthdays because you're giving attention to the individual and you're not giving attention to God. And of course, these two bad things happened. You know, somebody was beheaded, blah, blah, blah. But actually, you can't celebrate birthdays because you're giving attention to that person, but you're not giving attention to God. So how come Jehovah's Witnesses celebrate wedding anniversaries?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was always confused about that. My parents, hi Mom, Dad, they would have me and my sister and I would do it as if it was their birthday.
Yes.
Exactly.
Every year, like we would cook the dinner, candlelights, we would have gifts for them, all that
presents, stuff. Everything. Yes.
It's their way, I think it's their way of keeping people together and in, because you do have that moment to celebrate and recognize, you know, have that birthday.
It's a freaking pacifier.
So that you can hurry up and get married at 18, 19, 20 years old before you even know who you are, and get married so you can have your anniversary and everybody can be excited because you're married and they got
what I think it is?
That's another thing, isn't it? Wedding. It's giving highlight to two individuals.
You know what I think it is? Birthdays are individual, okay?
Right.
Anniversaries are together to keep them together, to keep people in. That's the way I see it. Okay.
I got you. Okay. That's what I was saying.
My bad. Okay.
That's what I was trying to say. What you saying?
We gotta keep them married, keep them together. They're gonna have children.
Right, because they're not against having children. They just don't, you know, recommend it.
Who's my bad?
Yeah. It's just slightly contradictory. I looked up when I got married, because my dad said I couldn't have this and I couldn't have that because it was pagan, had pagan origins. So I then went through pretty much everything that JWs are allowed to do for a wedding. The rings, pagans, the dress, pagans, the flowers, pagans.
Cheers.
You know? Come on. It's just,
that's a
pick
lot.
That's why
we make it a point for all of our interviews. We always do a cheers.
Ah, okay, cool.
Yeah. Because we do want positive energy. You know, we're all agreeing,
Absolutely.
that hey, we're toasting to this or that. That's an agreement, we're making with the universe. So
Yeah.
I don't know why that would be something that's bad. But okay, so if we could summarize,
yes,
three things you would say to an ex-Jehovah's Witness or someone that is about to become one of us. Welcome. What would be the three things you would tell them, the top three things they need to remember, know, or be informed of?
Oh gosh. Okay, there's a big wide world out there. And what we need to remember is that the majority of people are kind and helpful, completely opposite to what the JWs teach you. So people out there are kind and want to welcome you. So for example, very, very quickly, I live in a very tiny village, always invited us to their Christmas party. We've always said no when we were witnesses. When we left, we got an invitation to go. I made some stuff. I went and I said, I don't feel like I can come in. Why not? Because I've always said no. It's a bit hypocritical of me to suddenly come in now. And all the people from the village were like, we don't care. We don't care. We're just so glad that you're back with us. I mean, I was really blown away with that. Absolutely blown away with that. We don't care. Come in. We're just so glad to have you with us. That's how the majority of people outside in the big wide world really, really are. There's a whole new life out there. I retrained, doing what I do now. So that's a possibility. Whatever you've always had as a dream, I wish I could have done this, or I wish I could had an education or something, go get it and live your happiest life. But understand that you are going to have to get rid of those rusty parts of your brain, that you are going to have to do that little bit of critical thinking and start that process off. But it's actually such an exciting journey.
It is.
Doing stuff now at this age, possibly, or maybe a bit younger, that you would have done in your teens when you were rebelling against your parents, when you were finding out what music you like. Do you like this music because your parents listen to it, or because you genuinely like it? So there's a whole new world of things to find out about yourself. And actually, because we're positive, because we're solution focused, it's really exciting to find out who you are, and that this time next year you could be thinking, why didn't I do it earlier?
Yes.
Amen.
I love it.
You're right. I say that to myself a lot.
Yeah. My son's left and he's now at university, doing what he really enjoys doing, and it's just great. It's absolutely great to see him going from really depressed to living a full life and
yes,
being enjoyable. And of course that's easier to do when you're younger, because you haven't got those old habits and way of thinking. It's easier to train your brain.
What's your favorite part of the brain?
Left prefrontal cortex.
Okay, why?
Because that's where you think of solutions to your problems. That's where you're also creative as well. And it is the part of the brain you don't share with animals. So you don't get...
Cheers to the cortex.
Yeah. So when you're singing, when you're thinking of songs, when you're thinking of writing, when you're being creative, all of that comes from the left prefrontal cortex. Yeah. And it's the part of the brain that interacts with the rest of the world. It's who you are, actually.
Yes. It's who makes you an individual.
Yeah.
That part of your brain, individualizes, makes you unique. The person
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think the takeaways are, it's okay, to feel whatever it is you're feeling. You're
Absolutely.
not alone. There's a reason behind it. It's not your fault. And you can move past it into the best part of your life yet. And that is what the Healing Project is all about, offering healing to those that have been hurting. And just another
and I just want to squeeze in this bit. If you are being shunned, realize it's them, it's not you. Okay. And go through that grieving process. Allow yourself to feel angry about it. Allow yourself to feel really sad about it. Allow yourself to come to terms with it so that you're able to move on. It is a grief, and going through that grieving process is really helpful. Hard, but helpful for you to be able to move on with your life and not allow them to have any rent-free space in your head
or your heart.
Yeah. And I always got to mention this about suicide. If you're watching this and you're depressed or have anxiety, don't do it. In all seriousness, honestly, I'm trying to make this like a laughable thing, but honestly, don't do it. I cannot express how many times I felt like I needed to just go ahead and end it all.
Yep.
But I'm telling you right now, give it time.
Yeah.
Just give it some time. Get yourself into a group. I have the most solid group, and I would have never gotten this far if I didn't give it time. And now that I give it time, I have people that love me that I could not even think about killing myself because I would leave them behind.
Yeah.
So you got to find people that love you and you love them. And they are out there. I got them right here.
Yay! Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I did attempt suicide, and I'm here now, really, really enjoying life. And one of the interesting things I read when I was training was those that have tried to sort of jump off a building or a bridge or something else and miraculously survived. They all made a very interesting point that they sort of, as they were falling, they were going, oh my goodness, and it's not that bad. I've actually can now think of a solution.
Wow.
So,
And you know,
we've pulled through it. And my, I suppose, bloody mindedness is my revenge is recovery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boom. That's where I got my mind to. Yes. I'm like, yo, check me out now. Yep. Look at me now. You thought I was going to burn.
Yeah. Yeah. I can walk down the street and see Jehovah's Witnesses and smile. They are confused because they don't understand how can you smile without Jehovah in your life? Because it's not true. That's why. I'm that's life.
Jehovah's as real as Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, this was great. So Becky, if you are willing, we would love to take you through these, no matter what we're doing with the documentary, the feature film, and the series. We would like to have your name branded onto that as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes,
oh.
Absolutely.
Yes, most definitely. We likes you.
Yeah.
We like you. You're hired. Good stuff.
So how can people find you if they want to Google? Where do they find you if they want to talk to you?
So I BC Hypnotherapy on Twitter, Becky Corbett Hypnotherapy on Instagram, and my webpage is www.beckycorbett.com. So it's quite easy.
Awesome. I'm going to set myself up for a session. I need to be on the couch.
Me too.
Oh, excellent.
Get ready. It's going to be a roller coaster ride.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's been so good. And thank you so much for asking me. And I'm just glad that, you know, some of the stuff that I've learned is really helpful.
Yes.
That's just great.
You're absolutely going to be a blessing to the ex-Jehovah's Witness and ex-cult members community. So we're thankful for you, and welcome to the journey.
Yeah. And if you're viewing this, we're going to have a trailer. We have 4 trailers coming out for the Healing Project. So we're going to have a trailer coming out within the next, we got Super Bowl. So Super Bowl is actually tomorrow. So I'm not trying to compete with Super Bowl and viewers. So I'm gonna wait maybe 2 days after Super Bowl. If you go to the Healing Project, you will see the trailer and you will also see Miss Becky herself. So thank you so much to all the viewers for sure for tuning in. And Becky, we love you. Mwah.
Love you guys.
United Kingdom, and we'll see you soon.
Yay, see you soon.